The speech last night was, paradoxically, the least interesting and most interesting speech Trump has ever given. Most interesting because it was intentionally the least interesting. We knew from the very top of the speech, Trump was going to announce. How did we know? Because they announced it before he got on stage.
Gentlemen, please welcome the next President and First Lady of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, accompanied by Mrs. Melania Trump.
So there you have it, right there from the open. It's not the former president. It's not the Donald. This is the future president and the future First Lady. Okay. So he comes on, he milks the Lee Greenwood song, proud to be an American. Trump just there. Totally he seemed energetic. He seemed ready to go. Nice and bronzed, vigorous, full of life. The guy does not really seem to age. It's amazing to think he came down that golden escalator 2015. That's 7 years ago. It's a long time, especially when you're up there in your 70s. Trump seemed basically as young and vigorous as he ever did. Maybe it's the aspartame and the Diet Coke has just sort of pickled him and he doesn't age. But either way, this was not a Joe Biden scenario. He came up, he looked pretty strong, he looked pretty vigorous. But this was not a 2015 speech. This was not the Mexican rapists are killing everybody and we need to deport them and we got to get tough on crime. This was an elegant speech, as he put it. In fact, he didn't even really focus on the 2020 election was stolen kind of line that Trump has been harping on for the past 2 years. He touched on it, but only a little bit briefly and only with a little bit of a wink.
For the first time in memory, China was reeling and back on its heels. You've never seen that before, because the United States was outdoing them on every single front, and China was paying billions and billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. The farmers know that because they got 28 billion of it. No president had ever sought or received $1 for our country from China until I came along, and we were getting hundreds of billions of dollars. Many people think that because of this, China played a very active role in the 2020 election. Just saying. Sure, that didn't happen.
So this was an important piece of rhetoric here because it shows you, one, Trump was not going to focus on 2020 was stolen. We see that he didn't touch at all on the questions about voting machines and the recounts and the dragging on the count until a week later. He didn't focus on that at all. He did focus on some interference from China, but he did so in a lighthearted way. This wasn't a madman driven crazy by having the election stolen from him and pulling his hair out. It was with a little bit of a wink and a nod. Listen, I'm just saying. Okay, we would never talk about that, but look, China, maybe they did it, and he moves on. I suspect, was in that speech to signal he's not going to give up on the issue of election integrity, but he's not going to let it dominate his thinking. This is a man, as he presents himself, who is in control of his emotions and can even sort of make a joke about something really awful that he believes happened. Then he focused the whole thing on the future. For a while, he used this phrase, and I couldn't quite figure out what the phrase meant, but it's a really brilliant little piece of political rhetoric. See if you can figure out what the phrase means.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. Together, we will be taking on the most corrupt forces and entrenched interests imaginable. Our country is in a horrible state. We're in grave trouble. This is not a task for a politician or a conventional candidate. This is a task for a great movement that embodies the courage, confidence, and the spirit of the American people. This is a movement. This is not for any one individual. This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign all together.
So I got those moments wrong in the speech. The piece of rhetoric there that's really, really important is Trump answering his critics who say, you're a narcissist and everything's about you. And Trump is saying, it's not about me. This is about you and it's about us together. It harkens back to that really brilliant moment of rhetoric in the 2016 campaign when Hillary had unveiled her motto, "I'm with her." And he said, "I'm with her? That's not my motto. I'm with you. That's my motto." Totally changes the subject even of that motto. For Hillary, the subject was all these little peasants are just, paying obeisance and pledging fealty to Her Majesty, Hillary. And with Trump, he says, no, it's my campaign, and I'm saying, look, I am with you. And the campaign, even though I'm the one running it, it's really all about you. And Trump finally got back to that, and I think it answers the narcissism charge. Then there was a really curious piece of rhetoric in there that did leave me scratching my head a little bit. Figure out if you can get what it means.
One of the beautiful things of the pause, if there is such a thing as a beautiful thing, but one of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period. Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done.
The pause. What is the pause? Oh, the pause is the Biden administration, which is not the movement that came in to defeat Trump and MAGA. It's just this little pause between the inevitable first and second administration for Donald Trump. It's a smart piece of rhetoric, and it's the sort of thing we've seen from him before. Trump always pushes you past the sale. This is a point that Scott Adams made very clear in 2016. That Trump, he goes so far, he says, listen, we're going to round up every single illegal in this country and deport every single one of them because they're all rapists and murderers. And you say, what? What are you talking about? And he says, no, okay, we'll just deport some of them. And you've already accepted the premise that we're going to deport anybody at all. And so he kind of brings you along. He just plants these seeds in your mind. So by saying, this was the pause, already in your mind, you've got this idea, oh, of course there's going to be a second Trump administration. Yeah, I don't really like this Biden administration pause, but I'm looking forward to the inevitable second Trump term. Trump then came back to a theme that he did it in a subtle way, but he also came back to a theme that made clear that he is not going to just be running some squishy, cut your taxes, GOP establishment kind of campaign. He talked about the center of American life.
We will defend the rights of parents, and we will defend the family as the center of American life. But who would think, standing up here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that a politician, and I don't like to think of myself as a politician, but I guess that's what I am. I hate that thought. But that a politician would be up saying, we will defend parental rights. Of course you're going to defend it. Who would think that we even have to mention this? Who would think it even should be a subject to be talked about? We have to defend parental rights. Can you believe this?
Now, you love that bit. You love to hear that from Trump. Even beyond the point on family, which we'll get to in a second. When he says, listen, I come up here, I'm a politician. Do I have to say that? I hate the idea that I'm a politician, but I guess I am. The disingenuous, oily, slick career politician, he would say, oh, I'm not a politician. Maybe I'm a public servant, but I'm not a politician. No, it's about something greater than me. Trump comes up, and he actually is not a career politician. He's only been a politician for about 6-7 years. But he says, I guess I am a politician. Okay, I hate that idea because I don't like politicians, but I guess I am one. It's that honesty that I think people found refreshing. Even if some people felt the speech should have been more fiery, I kind of was hoping that it would be more fiery. There is a common theme that I saw cropping up on social media, even from some of Trump's critics, which is people saying, I like the guy. One of the great listeners to this show, Britta, who there's some people who are, they're really in the inner circle of the DW crew. And I saw her pop up on Twitter. She says, oh, I just like the guy. You just can't convince me not to like the guy. I was talking to friends of mine. They said, it just made me kind of miss him. Made me think, I remember that. That was nice. I miss that guy. When he says that the family is the center of American life, this is an important statement about political philosophy because there are two views on the subject. There is the view that the family is the center of American life, And there's the view that the individual is the center of American political life. And the libs believe that it's the individual. They want to destroy the family, and they want to first break society down into atomized individuals, then they want to gather them up into this sort of homogenous, ugly collective. The libertarians also tend to view the individual as the center of American life because they think that our politics essentially come down to natural rights and entitlements that we get as individuals. Conservatives don't think that. The traditional conservative perspective is no, individuals have their place, but the fundamental building block of society is not the atomized individual. It is the family. That's the fundamental political unit. Trump is siding with that traditional point of view. That's not exactly the libertarian point of view. That's not the neoconservative point of view. That's not the liberal point of view. That's not the leftist point of view. That is the traditional conservative point of view. And that is the lane that Trump had success in 2016. And if he's going to have success in 2024, that will have to be his lane as well. You know, the rest of the show is going to continue now. We'll be talking about a story that really has fascinated me, the FTX collapse. This is the second largest crypto exchange in the world. It was run by the second largest donor to the Democrat Party during the midterm elections. And it's this guy who prattles on and on and on about what a wonderful guy he is, Sam Bankman-Fried. And he's this sort of holier-than-thou lib, this preening virtue signaler. And it turns out he's one of the biggest scam artists of the century. The whole thing collapsed. I don't know anything about crypto, so I'm interviewing Eric Voorhees, who is one of the OGs, truly one of the experts and leaders in the whole space. We've got that coming up on the member block. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.